Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Infinifactory. It's time to put on our thinking cap and get in the mood to solve some puzzles. We've got to do a structural frame in this one. I do like creating some structural frames. Let's go click on this thing.
I wonder who that monument was built for.
That one right there.
I don't like it. Standing there, watching us from above.
From above? What?
It only reminds me that the toads could come at any time. So far we have only been a minor annoyance to them. But how long until they come for us? We need this shipyard so we can leave before that happens.
Now this looked very easy for a second there, but then I noticed that we are missing some blocks at the bottom here. We don't have upward facing eviscerators, do we, or downward facing lasers? What other things do we have here? So in essence, the shape that we're going to make, I think, should be this shape right here. Like that, but not going all the way across into this block. So we're going to make a backwards C, or a C, depending on what side of it, what side you look at it from. So this is going to be quite simple to how we did it last time, I think. It's going to be a case of bringing this out a certain distance. So it's 5 across again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Are we going to need a gap? I don't think we will. We might need a gap. I'm not sure. Let's just not try to solve it all in one go. So we bring it out by 5, and then we zap it off. Yes, that's right. We need a space for the zap. So that's going to happen over here, all the way up to the top. Get rid of that. We can actually get rid of a lot of that, but I'll do all of that stuff later on. So it's over here that we're going to then detect it and hook it up to this bit over here. So let's make sure that's properly supported. Conduits up the side and across the detector. So then we get to push it out by 1 block. In fact, we need to push it out by 4 in total. So the 4th one would be over here. We would need to detect its arrival, zap some things, and yeah, actually this is coming together pretty well, because we're also going to need to push it out, and because we've got this space over here, what we can do is have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Should have rotated that first, then the other ones would be facing the same way. I really do like the way they put this game together. The controls are really good. It took me a while to get used to it, but they're definitely something. Okay. Oh, I'm treating it like this would be... Sorry. Yeah, like that would have been 1 as well. Oh, so that just means that goes back by 1 block, which is absolutely fine. Okay. So that in theory works. Have I overlooked anything? Yeah, I did. Hey, let's stop that. We need them to slide across as well. So let's grab ourselves a conveyor. I wonder if you press C on the conveyor, it changes it to the other type. It does. What do you know? We don't... No, that's fine, isn't it? Because it'll push it across. Okay, that's absolutely fine. The other thing that I forgot, by the way, was to cut out the C shape. So over here, we would require a whole bunch of lasers. Actually, I put that in the wrong spot. So for the C shape, it would... Oh, no. This is where I made a mistake. Because it's shooting back across, isn't it? Which is not what we want. It's then going to interfere with what's over here. So somewhere we're going to rotate and then move it on. Okay, but anyway, it would be something like this, and then that would leave us with the C shape. Let's just see that in action, even though I've realised we've made a mistake. So we need to rotate it first, and then shoot it. Also, that didn't... Did that fire the lasers? Did I actually hook them up? No. Would have helped if I'd have hooked them up. Let's do that. And then, like so. Okay, so fast forward. Yeah, there you go. So there's your C shape. It's a little bit awkward because of the way I've done it, but we're on the right track. I just need to rebuild this. Okay, so with an intelligent bit of redesign, we now have this. I was just thinking, as I started recording, do I want to send them out in that direction, or should I actually send them off in a conveyor belt over to this side? Let's have a look at how this plays out. So we got that bit right there. The sensor's now at the top, so there is space for this to rotate. And actually, those blocks are quite useless, aren't they? But anyway, these ones here aren't, though, because they're holding that up, as you can see. And it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here. So let's stand back. You can see all of that get shot, and we've made another catastrophic mistake that I've overlooked. So we've got our C shapes, but now we're cutting off a little bit of that. Let's continue. Oh no, it's actually right, because that was so silly. Of course that was never going to work. We have to get them all the way across first. So this isn't as bad as it looks, actually. I realised sort of straight after that we could change this over and put them on this side. So let's wire all of that up. As you can see, there's no actual connection to this thing now. So there we go, there's our connection. And this time it should work like a charm, except our C's are going to be the other way around, which is probably no problem at all. There they go. Excellent. So the next question is, how do we rotate these little things and get them into that shape, and then weld them together? Okay, I don't think there's going to be any elegant or clever way that we'll assemble this next bit, which is kind of what I was hoping to find, but I don't really think I got the mind for sussing that out. So what I wanted to do was drag a little thing across here. So this one's going to come out and it's going to land with the open side of the sea on this side, which means we have to drag something across. It'd be nice if it were facing the other way, but I think whatever way you choose to do it, like this one is obviously facing the other way, you're going to end up like dragging parts around, so it's probably not going to work out to be too exact. I hope this leaves us with enough space to weld it together as well. So if that one lands like this, the next one I want to end on that block. So I think actually the way it's facing at the moment, it would just go like this. This is going to be so much trial and error, so I wanted to show you a little bit of it. So we bring the blocks all the way out here, then we rotate the two on the outside, then we can mess around with the ones on the inside. So there we go, they fall down. I put it in the wrong place, that's really irritating. It needed to go one block further out, then it could come all the way across, and actually that's the wrong one. We need that one to be rotated as well. This is going to be really tricky, really tricky. I have just noticed something extremely important here. If we have a look, 1, 2, 3, and then the pillar on the side. If we go over here and count, you'll see this is actually 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, which means we could just blast off those extra bits, but actually what we could do is make the entire thing one block smaller. I think if we bring this all back by one block, there may need to be some adjustments made here, but the section that we'll be rotating will already be a little bit smaller, which will be better for our score. So I'm glad I've noticed that, I really am. And the challenge here is definitely tough. At first I thought this one was going to be quite easy, but no surprise, they found a way to like throw a challenge at us here. Also, if this is only going to be 4 blocks, when it rotates it's going to go 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the way that it's going to be shorter is actually by having it like over by 1 block. I can't get my head around this. I've been messing around with it and these two refuse to rotate. Tried it in both directions, now I've been moving blocks around, not sure why that would happen at all. I can't help but feel it's obvious, but here's the thing, that needs to rotate in this direction. So the back end over there is going to flip round to the side here. Now if there's blocks next to it, that's going to stop it from happening. So in the beginning it's not going to rotate, but now it should be able to rotate, but it doesn't. It just stays there making that noise, which is really annoying, and it would suggest that it's, you know, rotating in the wrong direction. This way you'd think is the wrong way, and that one also doesn't work. Or maybe it has something to do with the one on the other side, like they're trying to rotate into each other, which is why it won't work. Okay, let's say that was the case, because I haven't changed that one over there. Oh, wait a minute, that probably was it. Look. Huh. Oh, what a silly mistake. What a silly mistake. Okay, I'm definitely getting ahead of myself here. I've just sussed out so much, and then I'm like, hey, you need to record this stuff. So, yeah, all of this down here makes what we want to happen. So let's watch that in action. It's kind of quite easy. You just had to do it piece by piece, really. And that one falls down into that slot. So adding in the welding around there should be relatively easy. This one being the last bit that's going to be hooked up should mean we just put a conveyor belt down there to move it onto the next spot. So what I was doing is something very clever, actually. If you have a look here, we have a conveyor belt to send it back across, because I thought that would be the most compact way to do this. Then I realised it's not going to be long enough to put a conveyor belt on either side. However, this one right here is surrounded by blocks on either side, so when it gets pushed across it can never really go off to the side, which means we can make use of it and go over here. And then I've just been adjusting my ideas a little bit, so it's over here that we then need to go and go off in... Oh, run, go that way. Go off in this direction. If we drop down... how the pieces are arranged. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the answer is almost here. It needs to end up on that block. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3. I think it's already in the correct position. But we'll fast forward and double check that. So let's have a look. We'll see it all in action now. Oh, lovely. I love the way the last two come down there as well. That was really cool. So now we've got to hook up some welding to it to make sure they've all been hooked together. And then we send it on its way. Okay, this was starting to look tricky, but it didn't take me too long to suss out. You see, we can connect these two bits over here. We can connect the next two bits over here. And then I thought, how are we going to connect these two together? We have it here. It's going to make it difficult to take the thing out. But the reality is you only need to fix it up on 3 sides and then you can take it out. But rather than slide it out in this direction, because we've got these conveyor belts down here that would mess it up, what I realised we should be able to do, and let's just stop the simulation, we can start it again in a second, is actually, I don't think having that there disrupts anything at all, which means that we can remove them here and then we can add in one of these and put another one, oh no, not in front of it, over to the side. And then it should all join up. The last two to land are here, so they get welded, and then it gets marched out and into this thing. So this could be it, moment of truth. I really like this one. I would like to know if there's a more compact and elegant way to do this. Probably is. Oh, and something has changed. Oh, that's why we dropped down. Maybe there's still a way to salvage this. Ah, finally, it took me ages to see this solution, but eventually I got there, tried a lot of things, you know how it is. I'll show you in a second. This right here, when this moves across, it's going to push that block even though they're not welded together yet, and then it welds it on the way out, and then it gets sent all the way across here. So you know what that means? That means we can fast forward this thing. Let's watch it again, the whole process from up above. Looks really good, I like it. And it's another puzzle done. And again, it kind of looks straightforward, but it finds a way to challenge you. That's what I like about this game. They're always finding a way to challenge you. It never feels like you're doing the same puzzle twice. So let's expect the same thing for the next one. Sort of overconfidence in the beginning, then realizing that there's a ton of things to suss out. Maybe. Or maybe it'll look crazy from the get-go. There we go. We've made 10 of them. The machine works. I could possibly try that with a higher cycle score, but I'm happy with that right there. So we will go back to the barracks and select the next one. We have 3 more here to do. This is going to be the Antijavelin battery. So let's jump into this and see what awaits us. I'm going to have a look around while we listen to Nia.
Salvitros does not share Miruvo's interest in humans. Frankly, I'm kind of relieved. Could you imagine if they were all like that?
I wasn't even paying attention. Sorry, Nia. We have to reassemble and create this thing. That is definitely a very different challenge. So there's a base at the bottom, there is a block in the middle, and then there's like 6 what look like Gatling guns. Blech, if I could talk properly. So judging from this thing, we get 2 Gatling guns. Is it 2 of those? They look like they're broken. Like, oh, look at the way that is. I don't like it. Let's bring it out here and then pause. Are we really getting broken ones? Do we have to fix them? Are we going to be introduced to some new sort of fixing up block? Because all of that looks shiny new over there, doesn't it? Maybe we have to disassemble it. Okay, so let's say we were to count the amount of broken blocks. That one there looks okay. Is the one on the opposite side broken? No. So we instantly get 2 of what we have 1 down there for. I would like to see the results, to be fair. They might give you a hint as to what the strategy is here. Are we supposed to destroy these broken ones? I can't help but feel we are. We're supposed to salvage the parts that we need, destroy the parts we don't, and that probably means, you know, getting rid of one of these on either side. Okay. Alright, I'll I'll take a look at it and see where we can go. I don't know what to say about this one. I think I'm going to find it very, very difficult. So my first thought was we could remove this thing with Eviscerator, which appears to be very difficult because the object above falls onto it down below. Now that might actually not be a bad thing. I am thinking about, you know, keeping all of that. But the idea is that we bring one of these along, we destroy the X blocks, that's what I'm going to call them, on either side, but then we save the next one, so I've sort of got a detector system and a piston back there, but even this doesn't work. Now watch what happens when it goes on this conveyor belt over here. It doesn't push it off to the side straight away. There's like a delay, which is really irritating, and it destroys some of that. So yeah, so I don't know. Now that I say it, you know, it's not so bad to destroy some of these blocks as well. When we destroy those ones, the bit at the top here that we want to salvage then separates from the rest of it. So yeah, that's important. Otherwise, how do we separate them? You have to destroy those blocks physically to separate it. Then if we look at what's left, you know, if we have one to salvage the bits at the top, that's fine. Then we have one to salvage the X blocks, and then the base, it should all be good. There's also going to be this whole like calculation. We got to manage just how many blocks we're destroying from each one we take out, because let's say we do devise a system where we take one out, we get particular parts from it, we take another one out, we might end up with a backlog as we have too many bits being created, because for example, you know, we want one of these out of every 2 of them as opposed to 6 of the ones on top for every one of the one down below. So it's difficult. So it's not too often that I do this, but I went and looked at the other puzzle and it felt a lot more doable. You know, that one was really something. Also, I talked about these being able to give you a hint. That doesn't really give me too much of a hint at all, actually. But anyway, let's go have a look at MagTube Corridor. This one looked like quite doable, and I'm not going to interact with Nia because her little speech here goes on forever, it feels like. So we got this thing down here, and it looks simple, but you've got to pay attention to the corners because we're actually going to take 2 sets of materials and mix them together. So we got that one over there for the corners, this big thing over here for the center, which needs to be hollowed out. Now the first thing that I sort of thought about here is that if you imagine that that is the same size as that, which I assume it is, then for every like 1 chunk of what we need here, we have to have 4 times the amount of the other one, and they come out of the same speed as far as I can tell. Just judging it by eye, that is pretty much the same speed. So if we were to try and make it more efficient, i.e. rather than hollow out this big block in the middle, we somehow carve it into slices, which I actually think wouldn't be more efficient. Making this bit more efficient per block doesn't help the situation, it makes it worse. So basically what I'm saying is that there is going to be a lot of loss in this one, and I'm not sure how it is that I want to handle that, but I thought it'd be nice to try using these things. So we're going to put them alongside the control panel, and we're going to change them and rotate them and put a bunch of them here. Actually, I need to go back by 1 block. Bit of an oversight there. Actually, no, this isn't going to work at all. I was going to attach eviscerators to them, and then I realised, no, that's only going to go in by 1 block. So we need to use lasers, and we need to have them on permanently at some point, which is probably going to involve waiting for the next one. Yeah, so we're going to bring this out a fair way, and then if we have a group of lasers to cut out the bits in the middle, that's fine. If they also cut out the ones at the top, it means that we can't slide these into the same position before we move it. So there's going to be like a really big element of timing going on here. We're going to bring this thing out, and we're going to have a bunch of lasers back here somewhere, and then all the blocks are going to be separated. Oh, this one's also ridiculously difficult, because right, I guess the best way to do it then is to remove the corners before you remove the middle. Yes, that makes so much more sense, because if you leave the middle in, then it's all going to stay as one object. If you were to take it all out at once, then the part would fall down from the top down to the bottom, etc. Okay, so somewhere back here we will have some sort of laser setup pointing towards it. Just gonna, you know, make something like a mock as a reminder. And then when this gets here, we're going to wait until we've got enough of the other stuff, and this thing's going to fire repeatedly, which is going to involve using a sensor. So somewhere there's a sensor on the side, goes over to these things. Then it's not until we've got enough of the other stuff that we then would override this by having a piston push off in that direction, and that would be attached to a sensor over here. So when it comes to separating this stuff, I don't know how to do it. We've got to sort of convey it in and get them into 4 different positions. As much as I don't want to do it like this, I reckon we're probably going to end up with 4 different conveyors going off to the side. Let's actually bring them out by 1 block. In fact, let's count out how long this thing is going to be. It's going to be 5, right? That's 5 across, yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be at the end there. Our laser to separate it will be back here, facing across, and our sensor would be in this spot right here. Okay, then what I think we're going to do is have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 like that. I don't know. Stock them up, then push them off, and then you're going to have like 4 of these pointing forward, and then we'll individually track them into position. Yeah. You know, there's probably like clever and efficient ways of doing that, but I just can't really think of what they are. Also, these are going to be... Yeah, these will need to be back here. That's right. And then another sensor on the opposite side. Okay, this whole thing here wasn't supposed to be there, so that was silly. Anyway, just looking at the behavior here, we can actually stop like this thing from pushing out more blocks. Now we could also get up to this thing and it would endlessly destroy the blocks trying to be pushed out. But this means when there's enough of those, like now that sensor gets activated, we bring a signal all the way over here, although what we'll probably do is transfer these across further. Then that signal will both push this across and it will, yeah, cut it off at the end as well. Just realise though, as it pushes it off, this sensor here is going to continuously activate, which means these sides here might get pushed off. Even if we move it over by 1, that might still be a little bit of a difficulty. So we should probably do a little bit of an experiment here. Put a piston over to the side and hook that up to the same conduit. Then when we fast forward it, it didn't do anything, because we also then, for this test, need to hook it up to this over here, which it will now do. Right. Is that good enough? How did we do? It looks sort of alright, but we didn't think about what we're pushing it onto. So over here we need a conveyor belt. Let's try again. Let's see how it behaves. And we actually get the correct size piece out. That's brilliant. Okay, so we can sort of undo this little test here. And that's a positive thing, I guess. Okay, I think this is sort of on the right track. Gotta say though, not really too keen on on how it's looking so far. Plus, I think the shape of this platform would have better have dictated how to have done this. But also, we're sort of pushing off from the side, so maybe they had something different in mind. But I like the way that we're doing it. It makes sense to me. So you can see it holds up for a while, then it gets pushed off to the side, and it destroys quite a few blocks as this passes the sensor over there. And then it all sort of arrives at the same time. Obviously, I've got a little bit of an adjustment to make there. Welding those things together shouldn't be too difficult. However, they both need to be welded from the side. You see, the ones up the top, if we can get them up there, can be welded from the top up. So yeah, not quite sure how that last bit's going to work, because we can put a welder on one side but not the other. We'll suss it out, don't worry. Okay, this is looking really good. One thing we will need to do though, and this might actually be really difficult to get the timing correct. I think we're going to need to modify this pipe and then put in a couple of welding spots. So that's no longer a pipe. Let's prop it up like that, and I think our welding needs to go on the corner here. So we will just click on that and change it. The other welding will go up the top. There we go. So let's see the timing of this anyway, because it's pretty cool. I had to change the position of that, which we might do again. So those 4 things come across, and then this is the bit where the timing needs to be precise, because it's all got to lock into place. So it sounded like that got welded, which was good. Yep, that bit's separate, that bit's now joined. So 2 welders up the top here will have to be on the opposite side, because otherwise they'll get welded straight away, which is not good. And I think these ones came across just at the right time to sort of lock this in this position, which would then mean that we can put a conveyor belt here and push it off to the side. In fact, it would probably go there. Now, if the timing is wrong, I think we can change this delay without messing up our first welding operation, which is cool. So anyway, let's count this thing across. It is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Wait, no. Like that, and then this is the other side of it. So 2 welding blocks there, another 2 over here facing down. Is that right? I think it needs to be like that. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's speed it all up and get ready to pause it as well, so we can figure out exactly what's going on as it goes on. Right, so that'll weld at the precise point. That's cool. welded. Ah, and it wasn't quite quick enough. Okay, so that means in order for this to have more delay, it needs to arrive a little bit later, so we're actually going to have to push this the entire way across. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? Otherwise we might have to make some sort of artificial delay somewhere. Alright, here we go. Is the timing going to be good enough? Oh, not quite. It needs even more delay, which could possibly mean moving this thing further back, which is not what I want to do. So, is there a way I can make this work a little bit better in our favour? Okay, so we don't have to go with that big pipe setup over there. This is too many pipes. There's basically borrowing the sensor. So let's get rid of all of that. What we can do is just move it all back, because I've moved that bit there back, and it started to make me think if we moved it back further, we could sort of drop down and go straight into that thing there maybe, although that's probably not big enough a gap. So let's try it with the sensor. Oh, you can't sort of string those along. Let's try it with the sensor about there and see if the timing's good enough. This thing is exactly the same, so in theory it should work. Okay, there we go. We activate the one on the other side, so they go into the correct position, and it's just too early, isn't it? Way too early. So my hopes of having a nice, sleek and compact machine have gone out the window. Yeah, we almost had it a minute ago, and the timing wasn't quite right, and I've been moving this around trying to suss it out, and feels like I've just made the timing worse over and over again. So timing was a huge, huge deal on this one. Anyway, let's look at the blueprint, sorry, the base print? I don't know why I said blueprint of this. It's going to come out to over here, so we can't put anything there. What we have to do is put a couple of welders over on this side. So one, let's change that, rotate it, and another one there, and then as these get pushed out they need to be supported, so the place they're going to get pushed out on is to over there as well. So that should be that. Oh, it never is, it really isn't. Okay, so the bottom one's going to place, top one's come into place, good, off you go, and the bottom one gets carried away. That actually kind of makes a lot of sense when you think about it. So how do we correct that? Because I guess we need there to be something there, but then that's going to take away the one at the bottom when it arrives. This is just never going to work, basically, as much as I want it to. See you later. Maybe we can buffer it. Maybe we can put it like that. Actually, yeah, that looks like it would work, you know, because it would rest there until the next one nudged it along. It'd get welded, and then it'd get carried along. Awesome. Okay, so that drops down to there. Let's quickly finish this. We'll put the one right there. That's going to drop down all the way over to this bit, and then it's just a case of that right there, I think. Doesn't look like it would fit into that gap. And there we go. That could well and truly be it. Oh, except I've goofed. No, it doesn't push it all the way across unless you put a block there like that, I think. I think I've learned how this works so far. It's taken me a long time. There we go. Bam. Awesome. Love it. And I forgot about something, which shouldn't be too difficult to fix. Do you know why? Because we can go down here. If we put a detector there and hook that up with some conduits, we're going to put them like this. 1, 2, 3, and a group of 3 there and another 3 there. Then put lasers facing forward. Nope, that would be okay. That would be acceptable. And then this would take care of it. Okay, let's speed that up. I have trouble pressing like the right buttons on the keyboard so much for this game. I don't know what it is. Maybe too many controls to remember. Oh yeah, of course it would. Put it on the wrong side. Okay, well, one step after another we slowly get there, don't we? Which is good fun. Okay. So you now go on this side. We don't need any of these blocks. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I do believe that is 100% and truly it. Yes, this time I feel good because I was correct. Alright, one more to go. I'm expecting an awful score in this one. Surprisingly, not too bad, is it? I reckon that could have been done a lot better. That's why there's some scores down here for people that want to play for hours and really suss it out. So yeah, that's going to be it from me this one. Do hope you have enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed them, leave a like on the video, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.